Hi there, it's Lisa from A Lovely Life. I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about productivity. This is a really big topic right now with the whole work from home, remote work, hybrid models, all of these things. And I know there's many leaders that are super comfortable in this space, but there's some that are not. And I think it's important for us to recognize, where we are as leaders in our skills in terms of managing remote teams, hybrid teams, what have you. So I want to kind of go through 5 key elements that are really important when you think about managing for productivity. And the first place you have to recognize is that your team's ability to be productive starts and actually ends with you as the leader. That's the piece that we can't get away from. It's not about, they're not doing their job. Before we talk about that, we have to talk about what we've done as a leader to make sure that they can actually do their job, do it well, and meet our expectations. So the first of the 5 things is, when somebody comes to me and says, I don't think my team member is producing enough. I think that they're not productive enough. They're not meeting targets, whatever it is. The first thing I say is, how do you know that? What is it that they're not giving you? What's the instinct that you have that this is happening? And what's actually the outcome of this? Because one of the things that's been interesting, especially about, when our people have moved home, is that I'll have somebody say, well, they went out for, I knew that they went out for groceries at this time. And, that's during work time. Okay. Do they work extra on other days? We as leaders, if we expect extra on these days, we may have to be flexible on these days. So, and if it's not impacting directly an actual outcome, I kind of question, is it a productivity thing or is it just an understanding of scheduling and expectations? So it's not about productivity in that case. So first of all, examine why you think this. The second thing is you have to ask yourself, how are you currently checking? So what are your systems, methods, what's your cadence for checking to see that your people are producing the work that you have identified as important? If you haven't had a meeting with your team in, 3 weeks and you haven't sort of had those regular touch base points, maybe you're not checking in enough. And how then do you know if they're productive or not? So I think that there's always that question that leaders have to ask themselves. How am I currently checking for productivity? And sometimes we can't always answer that. If you can't answer it clearly, think about it. How is your team member going to actually hit that target? If you can't articulate it, how can they hit it? So the third thing is really asking yourself, in those meetings that you're having, how is that structured? Is there clarity around, what actually needs to be done? Are you really articulating what the takeaways are? I don't know about you, but I go to lots of meetings and leave the meeting and think, I wonder if anybody's going to do that thing that said, we said needed to be followed up on. And, if it's not assigned to anybody, nobody does it. So ask yourself in those meetings that you're having, one-on-ones, team meetings, whatever it is, is it really clear what they're supposed to do from that? And it's your job as a leader to structure the meetings so that is the outcome. So check yourself first before you're, checking on your team. The third thing is, we want to think about, does your team have a really clear, again, if you can't articulate it, they can't be clear on it. Do they have a really clear idea of what success looks like to you? Because if you're the one measuring the productivity and the outcome, obviously, they need to be aware of what that goal or objective or that is. So if it's not clear to you of how you can articulate what does success in this workspace look like, they won't know. And if you know what success looks like for you, have you shared it with them? Do they know? Because if they don't know, it's not that they're trying to not do the work well. It's that maybe they're not doing the work in the way in which aligns with your idea of success. So again, sometimes this idea of are people not being quote unquote productive is actually a miscommunication of leadership. And that's where this does start and end with good leadership. And finally, the thing that you have to ask yourself is how does your team know? How does your team member know what the strategy, what the vision is, what the mission is? Do you think that they know? Do you think that they can articulate that? And if you think yes, you say, well, we had that meeting in, January, and we talked all about that, and I gave them the deck. Great, you did communicate it. But those are things that you can't just communicate once and done. It's I say that the strategy communication is not a slow cooker. You can't set it and forget it. You have to continue to make the connection between the work that your team's doing to the strategy, because actually that outcome, them feeling like they're doing work that's valued, that's the biggest engagement piece you can give to somebody. When they feel the time and energy that they are spending on their work actually contributes to the organization, that's actually what makes them feel really successful and really good. That's the engagement piece. So you win on both fronts. Not only does the quality of work increase, but the engagement from your team members also increases. So, when you think about saying to, somebody, I just don't feel like, Susan is as productive as she needs to be. Ask yourself those 5 points, because is it that Susan's not being productive, or is it that you as a leader haven't set up a structure, a system, a framework that allows her to know and be aligned with you on what that is? So as we continue to move through the return to office, continue with remote work, hybrid, hopefully these tips come in handy for you as a leader, and you can have a really successful end of 2021 with your team. And as always, thank you very much, and have a lovely day.